This is KGW News at noon.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Brenda Braxton. It has been more than 500 days since the insurrection at the nation's capital. Tonight, the January 6th committee will go public with its investigation, sharing new evidence and never-before-seen video. Peter Alexander has a preview of the hearing, which airs live here on KGW.
It was the most violent attack on the U.S. Capitol in more than 200 years, and tonight in the very building where it took place. The House committee investigating the assault will lay out its initial findings in vivid detail for the American people.
It was a multi-level, multi-step process of trying to negate, nullify, and destroy Joe Biden's majority in the Electoral College.
Tonight's presentation, aides say, will serve as an opening statement of sorts, the first in a series of at least 7 hearings intended to show how Donald Trump's obsession with his election loss and repeated false claims of voter fraud laid the foundation for the deadly siege. Leading off tonight's hearing, expected to run 2 hours in prime time, new video of the attack, as well as live testimony from a British documentary filmmaker embedded with members of the far-right group the Proud Boys, who captured the chaos. The night's first in-person witness, Capitol Police Officer Caroline Edwards.
I got it right there.
Officer Edwards suffered a brain injury after she was knocked down by rioters.
Those images, the smells, the yelling, the chaos, the blood, it was that day was a war zone.
The committee is also expected to show recorded testimony from some of the 1,000 other key witnesses interviewed, including the former president's daughter, Ivanka, and her husband, Jared Kushner. Trump allies have relentlessly blasted the hearings, slamming it as a partisan witch hunt.
This committee is not about seeking the truth. It is a smear campaign.
But overnight, new audio recordings provided to NBC News by the authors of the new book, This Will Not Pass, reveal the House's top Republican Kevin McCarthy less than a week after the January 6th attack on a call with GOP members, criticizing Mr. Trump and speaking in support of a bipartisan commission to investigate the riot that he and his party now oppose.
We cannot just sweep this under the rug. We need to know why it happened, who did it, and people need to be held accountable for it.
If you plan to watch the hearing, here's a rundown of the television schedule. KGW will air the news at 4. NBC coverage of the January 6th committee begins at 5. Then we'll be back on air with a special edition of KGW News at 7 p.m. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office is using new tactics to crack down on crime. Deputies are deploying what they call data-driven violence reduction strategies. That includes patrolling hotspots where gun violence and deadly crashes intersect. Since mid-April, the Sheriff's Office and Gresham Police have made 116 stops, arrested 33 people, and recovered 7 stolen vehicles. Sheriff Mike Reese says the mission is removing unsafe drivers and firearms from East County communities. Now to Vancouver, where the City Council just banned protests outside the homes of elected officials and city workers. Critics say that's unconstitutional and violates their right to free speech. Protests targeting elected leaders at home have become increasingly popular, and this new law gives the city a way to stop it, including filing restraining orders. Protests will still be allowed in public spaces, including parks and City Hall. But people opposed to this new law say it really misses the point.
When you work at home, your office will be at home into the next lockdown. So where are they supposed to protest? Here, when you're not here? Our next lockdown, you're going to be in front of your house, right?
On the flip side, though, supporters shared personal stories of groups harassing them at home over their politics or school district issues. The city of Portland says a recent hack led to someone taking almost $500,000 meant for an affordable housing project. The breach happened in late April, but was announced weeks later after the hacker tried to steal more money and failed. Portland has since reimbursed the housing provider. A spokesperson says the hacker gained access to a city worker's email account, then manipulated a transaction the worker made in the course of their normal duties. Investigators say no city employee knowingly contributed to this breach. Some Portland neighborhoods are taking matters into their own hands to stop homeless camping. They're using a tactic called hostile architecture, essentially co-opting space without a city permit to discourage people from setting up tents. This is the latest example of that. Someone installed 22 bike racks on the sidewalk along Northwest Broadway, right between Flanders and Gleason. It's peculiar because, according to Bike Portland, this isn't a popular destination for cyclists who need to lock up their bikes, but it is an area that sees a lot of tent camping. Schnitzer Properties owns the vacant building where the bike racks turned up. We reached out to see if the company installed them, and so far we have not heard back. A suspect wanted for a string of armed robberies is behind bars today. Police say he hit dozens of businesses across the metro area. As Alma McCarty reports, he was taken into custody after what appears to be one last attempt to slip away.
A quiet afternoon on Hayden Island interrupted. Dozens of law enforcement officers brought armored tanks, guns, and canines and stuck around for hours trying to get a serial robbery suspect to surrender Tuesday.
Lots and lots of officers.
Elise Blum was sitting in her car and saw the suspect speed in around 4 p.m.
A gentleman in this vehicle apparently came ripping around the corner, and I heard this really loud noise because he had a flat tire.
She said he jumped out of the car and ran. Officers tell us he made his way to a condo, locking himself inside.
None but 15 seconds later, there were 4 squad cars behind me.
One of the comments they made on the loudspeaker was, "We know you're in there. We can see you hiding in the closet. So come out with your hands up and nobody will be hurt."
Dennis Lakin and his neighbors looked on as the special teams surrounded the condo, though he didn't know right away that the man inside was wanted for dozens of robberies across the metro area.
I've heard about that individual they were looking for that had 30-some robberies to his name.
One of those robberies happened just hours before at Eagle, a bar in North Portland.
I'm still processing the whole thing. It was literally like 24 hours ago.
Ty Givens was working behind the bar at the time and saw the man walk in. He asked for his proof of identification. When the man didn't show it, he asked him to leave.
He said, "By the way, while you're at it," and I turned around to see what he was talking about, and that's when he presented a gun in a bag and was like, "Just give me the rest of the money and be quiet about it."
Givens explains he handed over the money and the suspect walked out the door.
The first set of cops showed up instantly because I guess they were already chasing him. They asked a few questions and then left because they were in pursuit again. They heard he was somewhere else.
That somewhere else was Hayden Island.
Well, I didn't have any doubt that they were going to get the guy. I just didn't know why the guy was waiting so long to turn himself in.
The suspect, named by police as 32-year-old Andre Mazer, eventually surrendered. They say he shaved his hair off in an attempt to change his appearance.
That was Alma McCarty reporting. Mazer was arrested on 2 counts of robbery, but many more charges are expected. Portland police have linked him to 14 other robberies, but law enforcement from Vancouver to West Lynn suspect he was involved in more than 30 robberies since April. Let's step outside this afternoon and show you the view from our Rose City Skycam. All the Rose Festival fleet ships are in. They've got the carnival down there and the big Ferris wheel. It's cloudy, but it is mild right now. Rain is on the way, though. You knew I was going to say that. Let's bring in meteorologist Chris McGinnis. Will you break down the timeline of that rain for us?
Yeah, we will. And I can tell you right now, rain's already impacting the North Oregon coast. Brenda, let's go ahead and give you a live look in Astoria. Slate gray sky and some light rain showers falling there. We'll hop over the Cascades out to the East Gorge. Oh, lost our camera there for just a second, but the Dalles looking westward. You can see the clouds increasing there. And we bring you back to downtown Portland. You can see the slate gray sky overhead. The ceilings haven't lowered too much just yet. We can still see, probably up to about 7,000 or 8,000 feet on Mount Hood. But in some cases, not too far out of Portland, we are seeing some light rain right now. Case in point, Longview and Kelso reporting light rain. Scappoose is reporting some light showers. And you see some green overhead here over downtown right now. That's not reaching the ground just yet. It's evaporating. But as the afternoon goes on, we are likely to see waves of showers kind of wash overhead, and eventually we are going to get wet. Not very wet to begin with, but I think the rain really ratchets up in intensity tonight, and I'll take a closer look at that with Futurecast in just a minute. Right now we're 66 here in downtown Portland, and with the cloud cover moving in even a little faster than expected, Brenda, we probably only inch into the lower 70s for highs today. We'll walk you through the rainfall forecast and a little optimism for the Grand Floral Parade on Saturday. I'll show you all that coming up in just a few minutes.
We like the sound of it. Thank you, Chris. Hey, don't let the rain keep you inside. As I mentioned, there is a ton to do along Portland's waterfront during Rose Festival. It is Fleet Week, with the very first ships sailing in yesterday. Those ships started visiting Portland way back in 1907. And from the chief petty officer to the Coast Guard commander, they all say they're happy to be back after a 2-year hiatus.
They're sailors. They're excited to show off the ship, as well as show the great citizens of Portland a little bit about what they and the Navy do.
Tours of the ships are free, but you will need to provide ID and proof that you're fully vaccinated against COVID. The other thing you need to know, don't wear sandals. Only closed-toe shoes are allowed on board. Those tours are also first come, first serve.